Hello, and welcome to another day of sports medicine. So, we're going to be talking about Strand 2 today. We've kind of started to put Strand 1 to bed. Some of the terms that we've gone over, like the regional terms, I will include on another test, but I will forewarn you. So, like if we do a sports psychology test, which I don't think we will. Actually, maybe we'll just do a quick, easy sports psychology test and add in the regional terms because that would be the difficult element. And then we wouldn't add a difficult element to something like head and neck unit. So, yeah, we'll do something with sports psychology. Maybe a light test to see, like, who's paying attention. That's the whole point. That's what teachers want. I was like, are you even paying attention to me? I don't even know. So, there are some videos in this. I will link those and it'll be part of the assignment. So, remember, in some of these cases, like the notes run a little bit long. We've been given the directive that when you're home, we're supposed to give you like 40 minutes, not the full hour and a half. And the reason why is because we're overwhelming parents and we're overwhelming the internet and whatever else we're overwhelming. So I'm trying to put out 3 lessons a week. And if you think about it, on an A week, you would get 3 lessons a week. On a B week, you would get 2. So my hope is by throwing in like the extra 40-minute lesson on that week that we get through everything. So that's my goal. Okay, sports psychology. We're going to start with what happens to a person when they get injured. So it depends on the athlete, number one. So we're going to go with an athlete that really, really cares about being on the field, being on the court, and let's say they get an injury that maybe is a season-ending injury. Maybe they're only out for like a month, but either way, this athlete wants to be in the game. They want to play. So when that's the case, they actually face the 5 psychological phases that people face when they're facing death or grief, which is so weird to me. And when they first said that, I'm like, no, they don't. But then I've seen it. I've seen it personally that this actually happens. So the way I kind of remember the stages or the phases of grief, and in this case, the phases of dealing with injury, is DABDA. Ooh. So DABDA. So we've got denial first. Okay, and the athlete in the denial stage is going to be like, I'm okay, I can get back out there, I'm fine. Or if it's something like they can't actually walk after, maybe they have maybe the other foot on sideways. Some of the injuries I've shown you, maybe they got their foot on sideways, and if that's the case, they're not going to deny the injury. They'll deny that it's happening to them. And they just hate that. So they deny it. Nope, it's not happening. Can't see it, can't hear it. Nope, I can still play. That kind of thing. Okay? And then we get to the A of DABDA, and that's anger. So then they're ticked off, and then they're like, why? If it was maybe a tackle in soccer, maybe it was they got called for the foul, they'll be mad at that player. I mean, like, if that player wasn't such an idiot, I'm just so mad. They're just mad at everything because now they're not playing and they're ticked about it. It makes sense that they would be ticked about it. And sometimes when they're in rehabilitation with a physical therapist, I've talked to physical therapists, they can only take you as far as you're willing to go. So if you're in the anger phase and you're mad at everything, and sometimes they take it out on the PT and they're doing their ABCs with their ankle or whatever, and they start to lose interest, and there's not much a PT can do if you're not invested in the exercises. So the anger phase is not very productive. They're just so mad. Okay, then we get to the B of DABDA. Boosh. That's the bargaining phase. So someone was asking, like, how could you bargain in a phase where, in some kind of a place where you've been injured? What are you bargaining about? And honestly, it's like the PT, they'll go to the PT and they'll say, if you do these exercises, the ankle should heal the way that we want it to. The adhesions shouldn't form in a bad way or anything like that. So the bargaining, the athlete will say, okay, well, you're saying that if I do these exercises, I'll be healed in 4 weeks. What if I do them twice a day? Could I be healed in 2 weeks? Because they really, really want to get back out there. So they're putting some pressure on staff to be like, if I go faster with this, if I do more myself, like, they will take on a lot. Listen, I will I will pray, I will fast. They just want to get back out there. So they're bargaining for their spot back on the court or the field. And then they just get to the point where they're just sad about it. They've gone through all these emotions that feel like they have teeth, and that doesn't even do anything. When you're mad, it's kind of drinking poison, really, because you don't affect change in anyone, and in fact, you might set things back when you're mad. So when you're bargaining and the bargain is like something that's absolutely unattainable, you just get to the point where you're like, okay, so I'm just in this state. That's pretty sad, pretty terrible. So they're kind of sad, and then they get to the A, which is where you hope they get really quick, because this is an athlete we can actually work with. You accept the fact that you got injured, and you're going to do exactly what the physical therapist and your coach says to do. You recognize that you're not going to heal as fast as you want to, but you're just going to focus on getting back as strong as you were before. So DABDA, those are the phases of grief for injury. Don't forget. Okay, so then they have another type of athlete, and I've coached a little bit in my life, and I will tell you, I do not like this kind of athlete as a coach. And I can say it was years and years ago. It hasn't been anything that is this student population at all. But I've had people that had an amazing tryout. Amazing. And we're like, oh my gosh, this is going to be an amazing little player. And then they get on the team and they're actually not very good. So one thing they did, like, it wasn't representative. The tryout wasn't representative of what type of player they are. And not only that, they don't really even like to play. So if you get someone like this, they're on the team because it gives them some kind of status. And again, not attacking anyone in our school. I know that, like, I don't know anyone like that at Viewmont, but it's happened with me as a coach before. So they get on the team, they like the status of being on the team, but they really don't care about playing. They just kind of want the status of playing. So when they get injured, it's like freedom. They're like, no, I'm on the team, but I got hurt. And so they don't go through the stages of grief. They actually are like, right on, I'm on the team, I'm just hurt. So I guess that's basically what this is saying. And I wanted to throw in this picture because, like, what is happening to your leg, sir? Don't lift so heavy, huh? Okay, so it's a source of relief if you don't have to get out on the court, if you don't have to get out on the field, and especially if you get anxiety when you have to be out in front of people. If they're injured, they made the team and they don't even have to get out there. So it's kind of a win-win. So that can happen sometimes with some of the sports psychology aspects of different athletes. I will tell you this, in my experience, this type of athlete that wants to get back out there, they're also the type of athlete that you can actually be like, you did this wrong, and they won't cry about it. They'll actually try and fix it. This athlete, if you say you did something wrong, they'll absolutely, especially, and I hate to pick on my own gender, but girls will just cry about it and not fix it. So it really is a different kind of athlete that you have here. And ideally you have the one that wants to get out there and play, and it had the good, honest tryout that is what they look like normally. Okay, so then we start to get into goal setting. So putting the injury portion aside and stopping thinking about like how we go through those stages of grief, how do we set goals? So I will have a couple of videos about goal setting. I want you to really be considering, like, what do you have in mind for yourself? And in the context of a sports med class, I'm not just thinking like, I want to do well in this class. Good for you. I want you to as well. But also, doing well in this class means you kind of apply the principles. That's what I think. So I teach sports medicine, and if I came out there and I was like, I never work out, but let me talk to you about working out, that's a pretty powerless position to come from. If you're going into sports med, you need to practice what you preach, period. That's just part and parcel of this field of work. If you don't want to, I'm going to beg you to go into another field, because there's nothing that's more detrimental to health teachers and health science field of someone standing up there saying, hey, you should eat healthy, when they're eating like garbage and when they never exercise. So you play the part. So when we start talking about different things like this, I'm going to beg and plead for you to apply it in your own life, because this is stuff that you can use in all aspects of it. So goal setting in particular. So when we write goals, these are the things that will give us motivation. I consider the most important part of goal setting to just sit quietly with yourself and think about, like, what is it that I value? And you have to be honest about it. Like, what do I value? And you can do it different realms. I know if other people have had my classes, you know that my goal setting wheel, the PMSs, physical, mental, spiritual, emotional, social, you have different realms or different areas of your life where we can consider, what's your health like here? What's your health like here? What's your health like here? And setting goals for those different aspects of your wellness will only contribute to a better life for you. So when we start going into like goal setting, you're like, heard it. Try applying it one time and see if that's something that actually is something that works for you. So think of your values first. What is it in this life that I value the most? For me, it's going to be family first, period, full stop. So it'd be family. Fitness is very important to me. So you have to think of what's important, and then you have to start to prioritize. Well, what am I going to do to make sure that people know that's what I value, period. That's it. I don't want people to look at me and go, she doesn't value her family. Sure do. And I would drop everything for my kids and my soon-to-be grandkid. I for sure would. So consider what you value first. And then with your values, start to go like, well, what do I want my life to look like? You're at the best stage of your life because your frontal lobes are not fully formed, and you can really just blast out a big dream. And you can actually, like, your frontal lobe, because it's not saying that doesn't seem attainable. I actually feel like your brains are so primed to just go big, go big. So if you're thinking orthopedic surgeon for a job, go big. You can. And if anyone else is telling you that you can't, you need to put that out of your head, put your focus down, write it on paper, and start setting goals in that direction. So we have different types of goals. There's a performance goal, and this is addressing your own behavior. So in a sporting setting, let's just say that your free throw percentage in basketball is off. Like, you're just not hitting your free throws. And that's obnoxious because that could be some free points for your team. And so you could say, like, all right, I'm making whatever percentage. Maybe they're only making like 40% of their shots from, that would be terrible. But let's just say that that's what they're making. And they want to just increase. Let's give it a more effective tool. Apply the SMART goal setting. Make sure that we have something specific. So maybe they're at 40%. The goal is to get us up to, let's try 60%. And you're practicing. You're going to have to say, like, well, what does that mean in terms of practice? Well, I'm going to be on the line. I'm going to have a set routine before I throw up the ball, that kind of stuff. So you're going to have to just, you can actually affect change with this one really well because it's a goal for you personally. Versus when you talk about outcome goals, a lot of times your coaches will sit down and be like, guess what? The goal for this season, we're going to take state. Great idea. That's a great idea. But if you take that goal upon yourself and you're like, yep, I'm for sure taking state. And maybe you're the star athlete, but you have a bunch of other people on the field or the court that can affect that outcome. So if your mindset is there, but the rest of your team doesn't feel that or doesn't buy into that goal, then you really have less control over whether that one comes out or not. So performance goals, probably the way to go. And of course you've seen this before. This is on the final test, or it used to be, where they're like, how do you set goals? How do you set them? They need to be specific. They need to be measurable, adjustable when you realize like that's unattainable yet, realistic, and with the timetable. So sometimes those letters are a little bit different, but basically what it comes down to is give it some numbers. So if you say like, I really want to lose some weight, and write that down. I want to lose some weight. Your brain goes like, check out I didn't hear anything that's measurable, tangible, anything that I need to even freaking do. So if you're going to lose weight, maybe you say, like, I'm going to lose 1 pound per week for the next 2 months. So at the end of 2 months, I weigh 8 pounds less because I want to hit it gradual, because that's the best way to do it for your metabolism. Then you could actually go, on this date, we can measure it. And did you actually attain it? And if you didn't, that's where we go, adjust it and keep moving forward. Okay? Smart goals. We will do this stuff in class. So I'm going to stop there today. When I do this on the notes, there have been people that are like, well, you went here and I just finished the notes. Please just do what I tell you to do on the assignment. You don't have to be like, well, I'm doing it my way. Just do what you're told. That's what you're supposed to freaking do. So this will just be some guided notes. I'm going to have you also answer some prompts about the videos, about you personally. Really consider throughout the course of this class, we're going to be talking about training. We're going to be talking about rehab. We're talking about goal setting. This is your chance to really apply it. And if you come from a high school setting in a college class going like, I'm going to live this life, I really think that's going to serve you well throughout your career. So that's it for today. Guys, hang in there. If you need stuff, email. Make sure you give me your current concerns, questions, and have a great week.